Hello, welcome to another episode of Gaming News Podcast. I'm Bran.
I'm Spidey.
And Seth, for my birthday, got me future birthday gift, got me an amazing mic.
The Samsung
Same as
Q2U. Samsung Q2U.
So now we won't bleed through and we can relax and not be worried about it.
Nope. Yes, we can. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to start with was for your birthday gift, I got you Pokemon Adventures.
Yep.
Red, yellow, and blue and green, I think? Or just red, yellow,
yes,
green?
Yes, you did. Every single set of manga.
All the original series, I got Seth the original set of manga.
Which I have not read yet, but I am going to read
it. When I bought you yours, I bought myself...
you got
Diamond and Pearl / Platinum
manga. So how's it going so far?
You know, it's interesting because I've only ever read all the way through.
Red, I'm assuming.
Red and gold.
Well, gold. I feel like red and gold are considered the peak, if I'm not wrong, of the.
I wouldn't be surprised
of the series
because red is the best of all time.
People do like. I wonder what is the least liked chapter. That's what I'm curious about.
I'm curious about that too.
What?
I would say it's probably newer, if anything.
Because I'm gonna take my phone too. Because I'm curious. It has to be newer.
I would assume new. It has to be a newer version.
Because
even the newer ones, because I've read the first issue of Sword and Shield. It's not Paldea, so it's not the newest, but even that one is pretty good.
So we got. This may not be a popular opinion, but I'm trying to find.
Because I read the first issue of Sword and Shield, and it's kind of like Sword and Shield Adventures. The manga's the best content you're gonna get out there. Honestly, it is. If you're looking for tired.
I've been getting so tired of the anime.
Horizons is good, but it's a kid show.
Yes.
And that's fine. Like, I'm an adult. I can enjoy kid shows, but, like, there's a level of, like, there's some good episodes, then some episodes that are just like, okay, like, oh my gosh, stop saying your Pokemon's name over and over and over. We know it's Spigatito or whatever the frick that Pokemon's name is.
Yeah, it is. Well, the name's also the most overcomplicated thing. So I'm getting a lot of Ruby and Sapphire.
I read Black and White.
Oh, really? Was it good?
It was good. I really liked it, yeah.
Probably better than the anime. That one's...
Yeah, not hard to beat. They're all better than the anime.
They are all better than the anime, guaranteed.
So people are saying that Ruby Sapphire is the worst?
The best is considered Ruby Sapphire.
Okay, not surprising. I almost bought that one.
And red and blue and green, or it's either...
The Ridges.
It's the first three gens, basically. That's essentially considered
I've read
the
the
best.
first issue of, or at least two first issues of Ruby Sapphire. They're awesome. It depends, because there's a lot of, like, it depends on which one you're reading, because
genre is pretty different.
They are very different.
Yeah, genre is extremely different.
With Red's
more a stereotypical
He's
Pokemon
a straight
adventure.
baller. He is, but kind of not, though.
In some ways it is.
And Gold, he's like a schemer. He's like doing schemes and doing like...
Oh, yeah, you're talking about Gold.
Yeah, he's doing like... He does some like... he's like a scammer.
Yeah, he's a con artist.
Yeah.
That.
Which I like. I mean, it's cool. It's a cool aspect.
I heard in Ruby and Sapphire they give Wally an expanded role, because in the games he's very... Like, yes, he's there, but he's almost not. He's, like, almost not there. Especially, I looked up the differences between Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire in the original. Wally's in the original, he's barely in it.
Mm-hmm.
You see him, like, a couple times, and then he's gone. In Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, you get extra battles with him in different places. Not just, he's here, and then he's at Victory Road. It's not just...
It's interesting because I'm halfway through the first. I haven't read any until recently. Chapter of Diamond and Pearl Platinum. Interestingly,
Barry.
Barry is Pearl. the character that you are in the game is Diamond.
Yeah.
And then Dawn, I'm assuming, is Platinum.
Yep. And I remember...
You don't know her name. She doesn't tell you her name at first. So I'm assuming... It's interesting how they decide, like the anime, how they decide to like switch it up so much compared to the manga.
Well, here's what doesn't make sense to me about the anime. The anime, like, there are some choices I'm okay with, but there are some choices with characters where I'm like, okay. So, like I talked about last time, the travel companions are interesting. The choices they have.
In the game or the manga?
In the anime, specifically.
Okay.
They're very interesting. So, usually it's just the same formula of either gym leaders or the female player character, but never the male player character. Like, it's never... And for me, it's like, okay, I understand. If you wanna keep the same character for at least, like, a couple seasons, that's fine. But the problem is... If you're not gonna, what I would have thought would have been an interesting dynamic for Ash in particular, is having the males, a male character there, because of the whole rival. There'd be an actual rivalry type element to the companions. You're not just having Ash is the mentor for the 100th time. Go was not an original concept. May was the original one he mentored.
Yeah, and the anime with Go isn't terrible.
It's not terrible.
It's not great.
It looked good. Some of the writing looked good, I'll say.
It's interesting because there's so much Pokemon content.
Yeah, you know what? I never asked you about Journeys. I'm curious. I want to get a
Journeys has Go, right?
Yeah, give me a rundown. What do you
It's
think?
not bad. It's like I feel like it could have thrived more if Ash wasn't involved.
Yes.
Just because Ash kind of takes over, and that's fine.
And it's fine, but the problem is...
But they did very good splitting it between Go, so you kind of feel like you had two main characters.
Which is exactly how the other anime.
And Go was like into battling, so it is like a rivalry where it's not just like...
It's not just contests.
Like one's like, I want to do a contest.
That's the problem.
I'm a breeder.
It was cool.
I'm a Pokemon scientist.
It was cool for the first time they did it, but it's like, okay, you're when you repeat the female as the designated contest person, or not even the fact that there's always a female character, even just that, it's like, I'm okay with it, but what other dudes are there? Brock and Max, which I do like them.
And Tracy.
Yeah, but nobody knows. Nobody cares about
Basically,
Tracy.
it doesn't count.
Nobody cares about Tracy. He was made because of censorship reasons, kind of.
Really?
Yeah, so basically Japan was worried that Brock would be viewed as a racist stereotype because of his squinty eyes. Which is weird. Because
why does he have squinty eyes? Thing is, no, I didn't even think about that because there's other characters without squinty eyes.
Yes.
So I didn't even
His dad
think
has them too, though.
I didn't think about that at all. I was just like, oh yeah, his eyes are just like that. I thought it was cool. There's a unique...
No one cared. And then they were like, wait a minute. It's like, okay, we'll put Tracy in just for a little bit. It was kind of a test in a way. And then it failed horribly. It backfired horribly. Everybody was comparing him to Brock. Everybody was. They're like, oh.
Interesting.
Everyone was like, oh, the audiences wanted Brock back so bad.
Well, I compared him to Brock, too, even as a kid.
They wanted him so bad.
And I was like, where's Brock? This sucks.
Where's Brock? It's like, where's Brock?
They didn't give Tracy enough character.
No, they didn't.
At all. They didn't even try.
They didn't try at all.
So, do I think Tracy could have been cool? Sure.
But well, the problem is he has no arc.
We talked about how Misty didn't even get enough time.
No, Misty didn't get an arc at all.
And she was the most interesting character of the beginning characters in well, really Brock was, but
they're both equal. I'd say they're equals.
But they explored Brock's more, but then they dropped Brock's.
That's the problem. Then they kicked him out of the series.
And then they explored Misty's a little bit, and then they kicked her out of the series.
Well, the problem
wasn't right after, but
the problem is they didn't give her a goal until the last season. I had watched some videos on it. Because she wanted to be the best water Pokemon trainer. That was her goal at the end of the series, basically, her final moment. And then she just kind of skedaddled out there. And the reason why they did it was because, you got to shake it up sometime. You had like 6 seasons of... But I will say it was risky. I would have personally, if I were them, I would have made the group bigger. You don't need to have just 4 to 3 people.
Well, that's always the same number.
It's like either 4 or 3, and it's like, I understand. Is it that hard?
Also, why is there always a professor? I don't understand. Why does everything have to be the same arc?
Why does it have to be the same arc?
Every region has one professor.
Exactly. It's one professor. Like, the games did it better because it felt different, but the anime is the same.
I like it when they branch off of, which is why the manga is so good.
Because they try.
I do get kind of annoyed because somebody has some kind of trope they're trying to be the best in, even in the manga, where it's like, in this manga, Pearl and Diamond are like trying to be comedians. And it's really just Pearl, but he's like dragging Diamond along, and Diamond is kind of like a Snorlax, where he like likes to eat a lot of food, and he's like chill, which I love. Like, it is funny. And they literally have literal like, what are they called in comics? Panels.
Yeah,
they have literal panels where they have. Like they'll practice their routine, and the routine is literally Pearl saying stuff smart about Pokemon, Diamond not understanding, and then Pearl punching Diamond in the face. And that's the whole joke over and over. So he's getting punched in the face over and over and over again. And it's funny, but like I find myself skipping over the
it's
like
very
those jokes.
Anime-ish, isn't it? Like it's very Japanese.
I wish it was more Japanese, because it's
because Japanese humor is the weirdest thing ever.
I will say that the way they took Dawn is nice. Like, she's like a princess.
Yeah,
she's like from a rich family. Stuff, yeah. Is that how it is? Her in the in the anime?
No, in fact,
that's what I thought.
None of that, dude.
Why did they cut out any kind of depth that she could have had?
Because I think,
what is even her goal in the anime? I can't even remember.
So her goal is
she's basically like a worse She's a worse May. She's a worse May.
She's literally just a coordinator.
Because May had like a lot of personality.
May had a lot of personality because they actually cared. Well, because she was a girly girl, and that's what they needed. You know, they had the tomboy girl, but they got to offset her with the girly girl.
That's fine.
She still had snark, which was nice. Dawn has none of that. Like, people are like, oh, dude, Dawn is so sassy. It's like, she's not sassy at all. It's like Dawn, the sad part is, I also don't think the voice they picked for her was very good. No offense to the director.
Dawn?
Yeah.
It's
she
okay.
was too... She didn't sound anime enough, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like Misty and May
we're talking about the dub, though.
That's true. But that's... I mean, dude, that's easy for subs.
I doubt the sub and dub is that different for the Pokemon anime.
I've heard...
I know in Season 1...
Ash is completely different.
Well, no, I know, but... I know in Season 1... that the story differentiates a lot, and like Kanto. But same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I don't know if Pokemon it was like the dub was by 4Kids. I'm not sure.
The dub was by 4Kids, yeah.
Because I know 4Kids, like Yu-Gi-Oh!, what people saw Yu-Gi-Oh! As in Japan, it's way different. It's they cut out dark themes.
Yeah. A lot
in the
almost
like
too
the 4Kids
intense.
aspect.
Almost too intense.
It's good and bad, because Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon wouldn't be as huge here if it wasn't for 4Kids taking over.
4Kids. I will say like we brought up last time, the jelly donuts thing. It's like, dude, it's like if they didn't say that,
I don't understand.
Would that line be memorable at all, though? If they didn't make that mistake, would it be funny at all if they didn't make that mistake?
Well, the thing is, when I saw it as a kid, I thought that they were jelly donuts. But like, I would have, I think it's cool to have us learn about another culture through the cartoon.
Yes.
I don't understand why it would be a big deal. Like, I would have been like, oh, what are rice balls?
Well, you know what's really weird about this? A couple episodes before, they say rice balls.
Yeah.
So they go from calling them rice balls to jelly donuts. Which is
interesting, because like, I think it's really cool to like learn about what snacks they have in Japan.
I agree with you.
Like, I don't see what the issue is.
And it was a time before the internet was widespread, so it could have been pretty educational.
I just would have been like, it just would have been cool. Like, I would have been curious as a kid, being like, hey, what's a rice ball? I would have been like, hey.
They call them popcorn balls in an episode.
Yeah, I would have. They do. I would have asked like, what's
What is it? What is
I think
this?
learning about the culture through it, like I think that it would have been cool to just have it be what it was.
Oh, I agree with you.
Like
I do think the weebs take it too far though with the dub hate, dude. They and like there is this weird elitism. Not necessarily in Pokemon. Pokemon, they're kind of like, oh, we like
as long
the
as
dub.
the script isn't different, I don't care.
Yeah, dude.
Personally,
Same.
if you're changing up the script in the American version, like then I'm kind of like okay, like then I'd rather
like the full.
I'd rather
script,
watch
yeah.
the full.
The real version of it.
I'd rather watch the sub at that point in time.
And it's like
I know the voice acting's always better in the sub, always.
Pokemon had a pretty good dub, to be honest.
No, it did, but I'm saying like if I would have, I'm sure at the time I'd be like Satoshi, like dude, this is awesome, like.
But they never would have shown you subs, especially as a child in that era.
I know.
They wouldn't have shown you subs.
Would have been cool though, because I would have been learning Japanese words at like.
That's true.
At like 7.
I guess for me, it's like there are certain anime where I prefer dub. I'm not gonna lie to you. There
Like
are
what?
certain ones, Bleach in particular.
Really?
I could care less about the sub. The sub to me just kind of there's no. It's like
What?
it's maybe it's just bias.
Dude, first off, part of the reason I like anime is because of the art.
maybe it's
If
'cause
I
of-
have to read
Oh, I agree.
while I'm looking at the art, I'm missing the beautiful art.
It's
So
like,
I'd rather just focus on the art
Agreed.
and be able to hear what they're saying.
and there are certain shows where I prefer sub. I'm one of those people who's in the middle. I'm in the middle of this. The reason why I preferred Bleach is because Ichigo sounds more manlier in the dub. He sounds more intense in the dub. And the other one, he sounds like a generic anime character to me. And I don't need generic. I want variety and uniqueness. Because a lot of times when I listen to subs, I love them, depending on which one it is. But a lot of the voices do sound the same. I wonder if there's like a small pool of talent with those, but a lot of them sound the same. Most like
Oh, with the main character.
there's
be
like they all have the same
Oh, sorry.
type of voice.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to.
It's
like deep.
It's deep, but it's also like not so deep.
Yeah.
Those are the old men. The old men are always like yeah, that's what they sound like. This is gonna be an interesting episode. but the point I'm trying to make is I need like depending on the anime, like my hero I have to watch in sub because the dub is awful. It's terrible. Izuku sounds like he got his balls cut off.
He does.
He sounds like he's like, "Hey guys." Like they're
I've only seen it. I don't even know what the
Dude,
dub sounds
the
like. I've
dub-
only watched the sub.
because we
so I don't
watched
know.
those 2 movies. We could only watch them in dubbed.
Okay.
At the time
That had to suck.
during college, so I'm thinking cuz I'll set the scene for you. I'm in the middle of like a difficult math test that I finally got a B on, and I'm like, okay, as a reward, I get to see this. I get to see it. Oh, it's going to be subbed. I was like, it's going to be subbed. It's going to be good. And then I start hearing English words out of their mouths, and I'm like,
See, that would be a letdown for me.
what in the frick are they doing? I was like, that was awful. He sounded terrible. He was like, hey guys, I'm Izuku. Oh, Detroit Smash.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, it's anime is always over the top. I will say they always scream at the top of their lungs when they're doing an attack. They're like, ah! Like,
Yeah, but it's cooler in Japanese.
oh no, I agree with you.
It's better than.
I agree with you. It's better than. Yeah, this is the thing. Like I said, it's a preference for the show. It has to be. It depends on the show for me. I'm not one of those
Dude,
people.
An anime is so weird.
Oh, dude,
I love it.
Japan.
I
is-
love anime so much, and I'm like, I feel like you show Americans who don't know anime at all an anime,
gonna
and
think
they're
you're the
like,
biggest
unless they
freak
like
of
the
all
art
time.
right away, they're gonna be cringed out
Oh,
because
agreed.
there's a lot of cringe, and I've just learned that I've kind of built up a tolerance to.
I had to. You know what I had?
not really
to,
the cringe. You just start understanding it more, and then you like aren't phased as much
Well-
by it. Because I'm watching Don, which is an incredible anime.
Dandalan. That is the most Japanese name I've ever heard.
But it is so weird.
What is it?
But also, you're not going to get what's
plot? It about? Yeah, just give me a brief synopsis. What is this genre-wise?
There's a girl the show opens where this girl's talking to her boyfriend, and the boyfriend is like, "Yeah, like we can go to a nice restaurant if you want. You got to pay, of course, but like I want to have sex afterwards."
Okay, so this is a romance anime.
The girl's
obviously.
like, "Nah, really. Oh, somewhat.
Is it like a harem or something?"
No. So like the main character is the girl, not the guy.
Okay.
And she's like,
yeah, it's like,
so she like kicks him. She like kicks him. She's like upset. And then later she's like bummed. She's like, "Oh, I can't believe my first boyfriend's gonna break up with me." But like he literally was like, "Oh, he's mad at her." He's like, "Oh, like he wants her to pay for a restaurant, and then he wants her to put out." Yeah. And then he goes, "Oh, you're the worst." And he calls her the B word and is like, "I thought you were gonna put out or whatever." And then she's bummed later that her boyfriend's gonna break up with her. Then there's some nerd looking at like nerd magazines, and people are bullying him. So she like steps in. She like steps in and like sticks up for him, kind of, and then she bails. And then this nerd guy and her like start having an agreement of like because she stuck up for him, he thinks that she's into nerdy stuff too, aka like aliens being real.
So is this like this is obviously a romance type thing. This is clearly
it's gonna be a slow a slow play romance. It's kind of slice of life, but not really. Because
in what way?
So basically, the first episode is her being like, "I don't really believe in aliens, but I believe," like, long story short. Because it's going to be like, he starts talking to her, and then she, like, disses him for following her. He's like, "I was just sticking up for you, you're a loser, blah, blah, blah." Then she feels bad, so they talk again.
So she bashes him and then makes fun of him.
And then she's like, she feels bad.
Wow.
So she's like, "I don't believe in aliens, I believe in ghosts." And he's like, "Well, ghosts aren't real." And she's like, "You believe in aliens, but you don't believe in ghosts, blah, blah, blah." He's like, "Look, go to this spot. This is where aliens are." And she's like, "Go to this spot. This place is haunted." So they're on the phone with each other, and they go to a certain section. And she ends up seeing aliens that are insane, who try to, like, essentially force themselves onto her and, like, breed. And he actually gets possessed by a ghost. And then the ghost that is in him is like kind of a power that he has now. So he goes to kind of save her. He like teleports through her cell phone and is like in the area. And then he like kind of he's like cursed, but his curse helps him fight the aliens off a little bit. And then she ends up being like a psychic. So as these people are trying to get it in.
Okay, yeah, we're definitely
she like
explicit on
is
this.
Hyper psychic and like fights them all off and then holds the guy's curse at bay, and that's the start of the anime.
Okay, that is okay. You were right about the weirdest thing ever.
So I'm just like, and it's like an acid trip.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
The art is wild. Okay. I love it. But
okay, so this is something,
but it is slice of lifey. There is a slice of life aspect.
This is something I'll say about anime as a whole. So I would not consider myself a fan, sort of. Like, I guess I'd be watching it over the average cartoon because it's all you have now, basically.
Depends, though. If it's like Chowder.
But, well, I'm saying nowadays. Where
Gumball Head, that's another good one.
Those are both dead. So I'm saying for something new, you kind of have to venture to anime to get something, anything serious. Anything. Superhero cartoons are dead. Those are gone. They will never come back. Like, they have, sort of, but they will never be the way that they were. Anime is at least consistent, I'll say. But I will say, this is the thing. So when I first got into anime, when I first saw it, I was so turned off.
What's your first anime you watched?
I was so turned off by it. My
first anime was Pokemon, obviously, hands down. I would count it.
I was not turned off by Mega Man NT Warrior, but
honestly, it made me. I got obsessed from Pokemon. I love the art.
Yes,
I loved Pokemon.
The art of. I will say one thing. People like we talked crap about the show, but I will
like recording tapes. Like having to like record with a VCR.
Oh, dude. I remember recording stuff too. The thing is, I also grew up with VCR as well. But what I'll say is, so the art of season 1 because I did a comparison between Pokemon Season 1 and 2. Or not 2. When they got switched to digital.
I get
when they switched to digital.
Because it's like, it goes Kanto, and
Johto.
Is it
Orange Islands? Yeah. Kanto, Orange Islands, Johto, Hoenn, Battle Frontier, Sinnoh.
I've been watching Battle Frontier, and it's pretty sick.
And that's what I'm telling you is...
it's got to have the best tournament arc I've ever seen. I've barely watched...
What's nice is there's the amount of filler is cut down.
First off, Ash isn't a moron.
Oh, dude. That's why I like Hoenn Ash. That's why
So his battle skills are like on point.
He's tough, dude. He's tough. But the art switched. They switched to digital when they hit Hoenn and ended Johto. They switched to digital animation.
I don't know which one's Hoenn.
It's Ruby and Sapphire.
Okay.
They switched to digital there.
I still like the art.
The art is good, but I will say there is something about the watercolor look of the original
way better. I prefer it.
That it's like the characters look cleaner in the digital one, but the backgrounds.
Dude, in the manga, seriously, look at this piece at the back of this book. They always have these panels that are like insane. Like look at this panel at the end. Even look at that, but like look at this panel like this. Look at that panel. Is that not gorgeous?
Oh, agreed. But is that Dawn in the middle?
There?
Yeah.
Oh shoot, I don't know. I'm getting kind of ahead of myself.
The reason I saw that panel is because I read it like a normal book. Cause I haven't read manga in so long. From the actual, I usually use my iPad. Yeah, I rember that. So you used to use that all the time.
I started from how I would read a regular book, and I started at the end, and I was like, oh crap.
Yeah, Japanese stuff is backwards. That's kind of interesting, but looking at the art of that, I understand cartoons are hard to produce, right? Obviously, animation is not easy, but
you could tell in the first season on Kanto they're reusing animation.
Yeah, there's the
backgrounds,
the lines during the attacks,
which it works. It's cool.
Kanto they cut corners so much because they had no budget at all. They were working on the lowest of low.
I wonder if they ever would have thought that Pokemon was going to be.
Oh no, dude! They were gonna end it. They were gonna end it after Johto.
Really?
Or possibly even Kanto. Yeah, after Johto, they would have ended it. That would have been actually after the movie, after Mewtwo. There's gonna be a season where they were grown-ups. I think we would have seen their whole adulthood, but they cut it. They cut it, and I get it because they didn't think it was gonna be a franchise, right? They didn't think, oh, this is gonna be a franchise. It was a move. It was a risky move that they pulled. No, dude, the whole thing is a risky move. Think about it. The West is probably where Pokemon's at its most popular. I would firmly believe that.
Popular in Japan, but
yeah, but there's a difference though. The amount of Pokemon fans I've walked around in here is especially Pokemon Go, dude.
I agree that if you get the West involved in your
they're gonna get obsessed.
You're gonna, and you're also making bank.
Oh, agreed.
If you get the West into what you have, you're making bank.
Well, this is capitalist central, dude. This is the hub of.
I have been playing Pokemon Pocket so much.
Oh, that card game, yeah,
dude. It's basically the TCG.
Yeah, I remember that.
It is. I don't want to get too much into it, but it is I'm starting to look for tournaments to playing tournaments. I love it so much.
So they made it a good game.
Yeah, it's Pokemon TCG. The Pokemon TCG is cool because it's a simplified card game, right? Card games nowadays.
Oh, dude, Magic.
I love Magic.
Look at that.
But if you're getting into Magic, it's insane.
The only card game
into
I liked was Yu-Gi-Oh.
You're getting into Yu-Gi-Oh nowadays, though, too. It is insane depth. Pokemon it has depth, but it's I don't want to say easier because I want to.
It's a lot easier,
but it's kind of easier. It's easier to get a grasp on.
Yeah.
And it's cool because you build your deck around one singular card, right? I'm using a Mewtwo EX deck, so everything's kind of based around Mewtwo. It's about you can win with other means.
Yeah.
But your main point is to get Gardevoir, whose ability is to put an energy
for Mewtwo.
You get a free energy, and you slap that on Mewtwo. And Mewtwo has a move with 4 energy that you do 150 damage, but you lose 2 energy every time. So if you have a Gardevoir on the bench, you can keep using that 150 attack every single round.
That makes me think of about the fact that you talked about how card games are complicated, and what's funny is that is the trap that they have. They fall into that so many times.
Like
sometimes
sometimes
so many rules. They have
sometimes the simplicity is like the beauty of it.
Think about the amount of rule sets Yu-Gi-Oh has. You have GX, whatever crazy stuff. There's different rule sets for like different seasons in a way.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh's so I've been watching Yu-Gi-Oh content just as I go to sleep because it's like a drone in the background.
It's the most crazy.
It's insane. Like, to get into Yu-Gi-Oh now, even if unless I was playing Duel Links, because Duel Links is similar to Pokemon Pocket, where it's like a simplified version.
There's a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh card games on multiple different platforms, like tons,
more than
Yu-Gi-Oh's
Pokemon. Huge, and I love Yu-Gi-Oh.
More than Pokemon. They actually went more, like, you had the one on the 360 or the Xbox that we saw. It's probably on PS4. It's all over the place.
I am surprised that the card game is popular because, I mean, Pokemon's a phenomenon, but Yu-Gi-Oh, the whole anime is based around the cards.
Meanwhile, the manga's based off of so many different
the
things.
Original arc. The original arc is, They switched to Duel Monsters once they saw all the fans, like. So there's an arc in the original. I read the original Yu-Gi-Oh manga, and he's the king of games, so he's like playing games.
Yeah, he's playing different games.
And there's arcs where he's playing multiple different games.
There might be chess, there might be cards.
And it's cool. It's really good. It's honestly, in some ways, just better.
Well, because the problem is when you pigeonhole yourself with one concept, especially for a monster type thing. Like you run the risk of making it boring because it's the same thing over and over again.
Yeah,
and that's what Pokemon did. Is Pokemon suffered because it's not even just the character.
You
it's
mean the anime?
The anime suffered, I feel, because it didn't branch out enough. I feel like even watching like a couple episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh, it was way more original.
The reason
than Pokemon
Yu-Gi-Oh switched to just Duel Monsters is because they had like 2 Duel Monsters arcs, and it wasn't so much about the cards as it was about just like the character development.
Yeah, the character development.
So that was just a tool they used, which was cool. But people were like mailing in so much, being like, "Are these cards real? Is this game a real game?
Can we play this?" Yeah,
and it happened so much they were like, "I guess we'll make an arc. Like, I guess we'll just switch to this."
That's interesting.
So many people were mailing in fan mail, being like, "Is this a real game? Can we play this?" Because I think it was like Dragons and Wizards originally in the manga or something like that, and it was like, they were copying Magic. The only reason they even had it in the game is because they were like, "Oh, Magic's popular. Let's make a card game arc for Yu-Gi," and that's how it started. It was just like basically like a Magic knockoff originally in the manga. And it was like not in depth at all. They were just like saying, "Hey, Magic's super popular. Let's make a card game."
Here's the thing.
Arc.
I imagine being a fan of the original manga. You're basically gypped because you're like, "Oh, can't see the other games. I'm forced to deal with this card stuff." If you didn't care at all for it, you're basically forced to deal with this massive change.
I mean, I'm glad Duel Monsters. I would rather have Duel Monsters be a thing. Personally,
just for the sake of the game,
the original manga, and it's amazing.
But which is better though, in the manga at least? The multiple game concept or the
Duel Monsters arc in the beginning just claps. It hits hard. But him being king of games is really cool.
But it sounds to me.
But would I prefer it be that as opposed to Duel Monsters? No.
I think it's like, I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh as a whole, even watching a couple episodes of the show, there's a lot more going on in it than Pokemon. There's a lot more going on. They kind of take the gloves off a little bit in comparison. Even in the dub, they take off the gloves more than Pokemon does, especially for the anime, dude. They don't even
that's true.
They have arcs in that. What arc is there in Pokemon? What arc is there? a reset arc. Basically, every season is a reset of Ash's arc. Not every season, but once Black and White hit, they're like reset, 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 and it's like, dude, why is he in the show if you're going to keep resetting his potential?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because the manga's so much better.
It's and honestly, I'm eager to read it because I want some depth, dude. I'm so tired of Pokemon just being about these three things.
Because the Elite
Gym
Four
leaders.
in the early was like they're bad. Like the Elite Four,
Yeah, I remember.
They're not like
about
good
that.
guys.
They're not good guys. Especially Gen 1's Elite Four is terrible.
So it's like a whole different concept of.
See, that's interesting. Why, like, the show is essentially, depending on which season you're watching, some of them, like Kanto, thankfully had story arcs, right? Kanto had good fillers.
Kanto has to be.
It has very good fillers.
Anime-wise with Ash, some of the.
It has the best fillers, hands down.
Although, I gotta admit, Battle Frontiers
Battle Frontiers
really
fillers are good too because it's not just meeting someone. There's like actual conflicts in these filler episodes. One I saw, which you remember the one I talked about with that freaking Crawdont. That's, the stupid, that abomination's noise. I'll probably insert it in post, but that thing sounds terrible. But that episode was interesting to me because, the guy's trying to destroy the lake. Like, we're having some form of conflict. You probably haven't gotten there yet, but
no, I haven't.
But it's an interesting episode because it's about him, like, being like, oh, I almost drowned in this lake. I want to get rid of it because of the bad memories I have associated with it. It's not like deep, but it's something. It's something. It's not just, oh, meet this character. Team Rocket shows up.
I understand it helps move the plot along and gives deeper plot, like gives the plot more depth, but like, why is every trainer not trying to just catch Pokemon? Like, why are they like not?
Oh, you mean like catching a bigger party? Yeah, no.
Like, why is it always the emphasis in Kanto? It shows Ash catching Pokemon, but like, not that Ash never catches Pokemon, but it's very rare that he's actually catching.
Yeah, and
something.
sometimes they wait till the end of the show for certain Pokemon in the later seasons. Like, they don't just build his team. Kanto built his team like this.
Like, the earlier seasons are great because he like goes in the SSN. He trades his Butterfree for Eradicate. Then he's mad that he does that.
Actual interesting story arcs. See, when
things are happening where he's getting new Pokemon and stuff, and you're just like, okay, that's cool. But these days, even in the manga, as I'm reading it, like Pearl's whole thing is he's like reading Pokemon really well and not dealing with the situation by just flat out battling.
Okay,
he's dealing with it by
more interesting concept.
It is cool. Like, I'm glad, like, it's cool, but it's never like, I don't know, like Dawn's Pokemon's more strong, or I guess Platinum's Pokemon's like her Piplup's really strong,
and
right?
they do that flip thing. See, they do that flip thing. I heard Ruby and Sapphire did the exact same thing. They flipped May and Sapphire and Ruby's personalities around May and Brendan's. So May's more aggressive, kind of animalistic tendencies. Like, she's literally in the freaking woods with like a weird looking like Tarzan Jane-esque outfit on with sharp fangs. It's an interesting concept. Meanwhile, Pearl likes to dress nice, is clean cut. It's interesting. Notice that these archetypes are way deeper than anything the anime has ever done.
Like, they just
like, after season 1, they were like, who cares about character types? Let's just keep doing the same. Especially Johto. Johto, I heard, is the same thing over and over. Meet trainer.
Orange Island has to be some of the worst.
Or it's same with Orange Islands. Well, that's in a way an extension. Well, it is an extension of Kanto, but it's bad. Well, it's because, think about it. What are you having every episode? They meet a character who has a problem. They have a special Pokemon that's highlighted for the day. Team Rocket tries to steal said Pokemon. Blast it off again. They leave that character for the rest of the entire season. Sometimes they'll say, we'll meet again, but they never meet again, if it's an interesting one. And I'm like, okay, so we're going to keep repeating these 5 points over and over for hundreds of episodes, not like 50, hundreds, because the English one splits them into seasons. So you have advanced, let's say Johto is just Johto. Johto Journeys, Johto League, Master Quest. You have multiple seasons. They're all split into seasons. And they have the same plot structure over and over, where it's just the same thing of those 5 points I repeated. Meanwhile, I look at the manga, even as a kid, just glancing over the details. There's so much more to it. There's like struggles. There's struggles with these characters. There's death-defying situations. The whole Pokemon Tower thing, like we brought up, that would never happen in the anime. That wouldn't fly. The censors would would never do that with the Pokemon, the Psyduck with his face melting off.
Nothing's cooler than when, well, I guess it's green technically, because I think Blue's the girl in the manga.
Yeah, that's a strange change there.
But green is like who's Gary.
Very
in
odd.
Lavender Town is like the sickest. It's like some of the sickest panels.
Oh, I saw some of them, dude. They were
like you'll ever see.
And it drives me crazy that like, and that's part of why I always bring up Coliseum and stuff. Coliseum and XD, those games. I don't agree with their confusing nature on where to go. If you play XD, it's better, but in terms of direction. But what I like is that they try something different. You're not just going to fight these gym leaders. You're going in actual tournaments, big stadiums, and you're learning about these characters. There's a whole story associated with each stadium character, and you're learning about it. Like Pyrite Town, the first town you were in Coliseum, that's like a bunch of thugs. They literally mug people and kill people. They kill people. They mug people. There's a whole history there. The cop's an idiot. He can't do anything. His name's Johnson. He can't keep people in jail for crap. The mayor's barely holding together his town. Like, there's an actual story there. Meanwhile, I do love the games, but for 4 generations, I'm running around and being like, okay, I have to beat the gym, have to beat the Elite Four, have to beat the gym, have to beat the Elite Four. Like,
in the games?
In the regular games. What I like about the spin-offs is they tried to be different. Was the execution necessarily good? I don't think so, in terms of, because you shouldn't be that confused in Coliseum. They shouldn't make it that confusing to get around and figure out what to do. It was very confusing. And that's
good game, though.
Good game, but that is bad. You don't design your game like that. But what I only beat like half. What I liked about the early gens is that they had teams. I
weirdly enjoyed XD a little more at the beginning.
XD has a much better beginning because it's guided.
I like it too because it's hard though. Like the battles are hard.
XD's pretty tough, especially since the only way to catch wild Pokemon is by putting bait down, waiting, and then going over there after you've left the area. So you have to be gone for a certain amount of time.
I think it would have been cool if they made weaknesses do a little more in the games.
Oh, you mean like the typing advantages and stuff?
Yeah. So let's say your level is like 100 and I have like a level 50.
Yeah, dude, the weakness should
effective.
Be doing better.
Like, I feel like it should keep the same damage parameter as opposed to you just be able to tank it.
I think the people.
I think it should be a little less damage, or it should be less damage because you grinded your Pokemon out. But like, I think that you putting more time in should mean something.
Yes.
I'm only talking about us battling as kids, where it's like, okay, like you have an Empoleon level 100, right? Like,
and then
I had to use like Destiny Bond Gengar to even
the only way you could even kill
your Empoleon. Which then put you at a stalemate of like you have to strategize and be like, okay, well, he Destiny bonded me, let me switch out real quick.
Yeah, well, I was a dumb kid back then. So
I know, but I'm saying, like, in general, I like that aspect.
Well, here's my biggest problem with it.
Another thing I like about the card game more than TCG is you can just get cards and play. You don't have to, like, train your Pokemon up and then
fight.
You don't have to get perfect EVs and IVs and then
this is my biggest problem.
And then get the best moveset with the best ability.
This is my biggest problem with Pokemon as a whole. So these are my 3 changes that would make me fully come back to the series.
Well, that's only if you're playing online.
One, make the AI trainers level with you. Have a mode where that happens. They level with you, so you're not just trouncing them by out leveling them.
Depending on where you go.
That is the lamest thing ever, dude. So any Yahoo can be like, "Oh, grind to this."
Clearly, the way that they
that is not how it should be.
That they like plot out the game and how the leveling system goes is based on they're assuming you're getting new Pokemon as you go.
Yes,
and using Pokemon
but I'm saying you should
go.
be able to prevent that.
But if you're using Empoleon just the whole way through,
but you need to circumvent that.
You're sweeping the game.
You need to circumvent.
But I kind of like that you can do that.
I'm saying there should be an option to do it, just an option.
Because for me, I basically just go, "Oh, this is an old type Pokemon. I'm catching it."
It needs to be. I'm saying there needs to be a hardcore mode, in my opinion, or a randomizer of some kind that changes the Pokemon that you face.
Dude, I actually with
the AI trainers,
Paldea, with Scarlet and Violet, beating the game was hard. Like the last boss is like it's hard. Some of the stuff is the boss fights you fight are hard. As in you like strategically have to make moves right, use your potions right.
Good, because every other game is just like. I've had so many games where I stomped.
I wonder what they
them.
think is the hard. The original ones are very hard,
but they're
very like.
And I did play. I think I
play
got
yellow
like
and you have freaking Pikachu as your
that's. I mean, that's cruel.
But in a way, it's hard. Like in a way, it's like I had to like figure it out. I almost feel like Ash in the anime where he like kind of got a free win.
Kanto was the most embarrassing. Like, yes, it had good fillers, but it was embarrassing for gyms. Embarrassing.
Yeah, because Ash just kind of fell through everything.
Embarrassing, dude. He just like he would constantly get pity badges, over and over. Over and over, he would get pity badges. Brock. Oh, his dad shows up and turns on the sprinklers. Misty, the battle's interrupted and she just gives him the badge.
Yeah.
Or her sisters just give him the badge. And then like I gotta think who's after that, because my Gen 1 brain is kind of
not Erica,
fried.
Is it?
It's kind of fried.
Because it goes Brock, Misty, Erica, I think.
Erica, like I said, I had a sucky DVD, so
Erica.
I didn't get to watch much of the gym stuff. I mostly saw the fillers.
No, it's Surge. Is it Surge?
Yeah, Surge I heard was a good battle.
No, Misty's later. I think it's...
Surge I heard was a good
Because it doesn't go Brock, Misty. It goes Brock...
A good battle.
Then Surge, maybe.
They did an unusual...
Because then it's the whole, like, is he going to evolve his Pikachu into Raichu?
Yeah, see, that was good. I watched that battle, and I saw that.
Is that second?
They probably skipped.
Gym battle?
They probably skipped Misty, realistically.
Well, because Misty comes later, because you go out of order from the games.
Yeah. That makes sense. Because you couldn't...
If I remember
You couldn't repeat it. You couldn't... Well, you'd know better than me, like I said. But this is what bugs me about that. So he gets pity badges. You know, there's one of them where he saves. I think it was Erica. I think he saves her Pokemon from a fire, and then she gives him the badge, like mid battle, and that's cool.
It's kind of cool because it's not the same thing every time.
But what's cool about the gym battles is that later is that he strategizes. You know, in the early seasons, before the Dark Age started with Black and White, in terms of how Ash is. Ash is a dunce in that. Before that started, he was strategic all the time. After when Johto, Hoenn, and Sinnoh hit, he was strategic in those. He was kind of an idiot in Sinnoh, and he lost against Brawly, but that's because he was cocky in Ruby and Sapphire, that one. But that was supposed to be a learning moment. That was back when Ash could be a person. He wasn't just a guy, like we said before, I like Pokemon, you know? He was actually a character. He had moments where he could screw up, like actually screw up. Not because he's stupid, just because he's cocky. Like, yeah, it's dumb, but you get what I'm saying. It's not a strategy thing. He's not an idiot. He's not like, I forget what type advantage is this type advantage. Like, he doesn't forget that in that.
It's such an easy. It's
so easy. And then Black and White, he's like, oh, there's this type and there's that type. It's so hard. It's like, no, it's
really,
not. Dude, what happened? Did you regress to the brain of a 4-year-old? Like, what happened, dude? What happened? And that's the problem. The writers were like, dude, we better restart. We got to go back to Kanto, where he sucked. Because in Kanto, though he didn't suck that bad in Kanto, but he wasn't good, though. He wasn't, like, amazing in that series. But Black and White is where they were like, dude, we'll just... The writers just said, you know what? Who cares about his previous friends? Who cares about May? Who cares about Misty? We'll throw Dawn in there a little bit. Who cares about those two? Who cares about Brock? Get him out. Let's introduce these two characters that have to replace all three of them. Iris and Silent. Think about that for a second. Those are some big shoes to fill.
I think Silent
flat
out sucks.
Silent failed.
I don't think there's
horribly.
anything redeemable.
It was horrible.
I know a lot of people think Iris sucks. I liked her.
I feel like at least Iris had personality. Silent's just kind of the cook. That was his whole personality. That's all he was. He had nothing to him.
That's right. Anyway, the anime is for kids. It just is.
Yes, but
Horizons is for kids.
How come Kanto was so good and was willing to tackle
but
such
still
deep
for
subjects?
kids. It was deeper
in comparison. It's not the manga, obviously, but I'm saying, where did that go? Why did they forget about it?
I don't know.
Why are the movies so different?
But if you want to play, if you're going to read as an adult, if you're going to do something as an adult, reading the manga is the best.
It sounds way better than the frickin'... But I was going to say this, because I want to, like I said, I want to go a little bit over, if you don't mind. But I wanted to say what I was going to say before about anime. So think about it from my perspective. I did watch anime, right? I watched NT Warrior. I watched Pokemon. I watched Digimon. But those are very specific, type-wise.
Very westernized.
They're not like... Yeah, they're westernized. So I was okay with those. NT Warrior, I'd say, was a little more... It was westernized, yes, but it was a little less... So there wasn't weird, like, rice ball and stuff. Like, it was a little more like it actually was meant to be. But when I got to the really Japanese anime, it was like a tonal whiplash. I didn't know what to think. I was like, why is everyone screaming at the top of their lungs? Like, why is everyone so over the top? Why is everyone so sexualized? Like, there were so many things that questions I was asking.
Yeah, most anime is not for kids.
Now, I was asking
it's not even
a lot
for
of
teens.
questions.
It's for like like young adults. And when I say young adults, I don't mean 18. I mean like 20.
Yeah.
Like, it is not, at least for here in America, it is not.
I didn't understand. I didn't get it.
I would not let, if I had a child watch anime, I would have to be like...
And I was a teen when I watched it, but
I'd have to be like, I'm watching it with you.
I had my bro, so...
But yeah, you're watching like Bleach.
Yeah. It was...
And it has suggestive stuff, but not nearly...
It was more so jokes than anything.
Not nearly like popular anime nowadays.
No, dude. And this is what's weird about it. When I first saw anime, I kind of thought it was dumb. I'm not going to lie to you. When I first saw Japanese, like really Japanese anime, even Bleach, first season of Bleach, first couple episodes, I bailed out of that thing faster than you could blink, because I was like, why are all the characters so over the top and like, like the humor's so over the top. They're like acting really weird, like goofy every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, what happened? There's like jokes every 5 seconds. So my brain was just, I turned it off and then I bailed out of there faster than I could. And then I watched Darker Than Black. I saw that. That was like too dark in some ways. That was way too dark. Sao season 2, too dark. But
Dude, Sao is... I don't care what any, like, extremist weeb says. Sao is so good.
But this is what I don't understand.
Because a lot of the people who, like anime or, like, love anime think that Sao's trash.
So I sat down, and I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a shot.
They think that Sao is, like, an entry anime.
I was like, I'm going to give this a shot. You know, I watched Fairy Tail before that. I watched Code Geass. I was like, oh, Code Geass is really good. But it devolved straight up just being a harem in a lot of ways, because he was getting every single female and everyone wanted to get in his pants, which was interesting. It got, and it was cool. It was a great show. Code Geass was, but it's like, dude, do I need to see like a sex scene every 5 seconds? No thanks, dude. But minus that, it was still well written. But you know, like I said, I would go back to that show nowadays. But at the time, I was like, okay, this show is like it's almost too much for me. Every female like just fawning over this one guy. And it was just like, okay, so that's all they're there for is just objects. Like they have no personality. The personality of like a nothing, literally a blank slate of just a thing that he can bang. That's essentially, it's like James Bond. It's like James Bond.
It's fair.
Except, and you know, I still love Code Geass. Code Geass, I'd say, is one of the best, especially the first season, one of the best anime I've ever watched. Season 2. They butchered the theme song. That was another thing they did. It's terrible. But, you know, I liked that anime. I liked the spy espionage element of it. I liked Lelouch being clever, not just smacking things with a sword and screaming and going, ah! And, you know, I liked him being conniving, having his, like, mind control powers with his Geass. I thought it was really interesting. But then you go past the first season and it's like, okay, now they're kind of veering a little off what they were going for in the first one. You know, they're not focusing on Lelouch as much. What's happening? Why are there so many characters? So I moved on to Fairy Tail. First season of that was miserable. That was the most miserable I've ever been watching an anime. Ever. Period. It was so bad. Because Natsu, the pink-haired guy, idiot. In the first season, he is so stupid. It is unbearable watching him. I was like, how can people like this? It's just him and this girl going around joking around. Half the enemies are so stupid, I can't even take them seriously.
They got good later, though.
Like, I could not get it. But then season 2 and 3 hit, and I was like, okay. Oh, season 2 hit, and I was like, okay, things are picking up. There's actual arcs. There's a villain in the background who's manipulating the events of everything that's happening to you know, finally build up to a big arc. Mm-hmm. And I was like, finally! It only took, like, a full season.
Yeah, I'm not big on the... It's definitely hard for me to watch anime that aren't... Not that you have to get in the thick of it right
fast.
Away. But there's... Yeah.
So that was an anime I loved, but season 6 came, and I was like, okay, Natsu's still a joke. They amplified him. They brought him back to his season 1 self, where he's a complete joke. Like, they played up the whole motion sickness thing, because he'll get, like, motion sick when he's on something that's moving. They played that up so much, and I was like, okay, this is a joke, but it's not even fun watching anymore, because
Dude,
they
Gray was funny, though.
He was funny, but he was just
his
like...
His stuff was hilarious.
He was like... His arc... There's no arc for Gray in that show, period. He doesn't change at all. Period. He's always kind of the douchey
but his
rival.
Clothes being off...
Yeah, that was
like
an interesting.
So
that was an interesting. He does some questionable things in the show, like actual questionable decisions that get the characters in more trouble than it's worth. There are a lot of there's one whole season where he, you know, Natsu gets kidnapped, and you know, and Wendy and Happy and all those people and Lucy, they all get kidnapped, and then he just sits there waiting as they're getting like their energy drained from him, and then he finally shows up and then explains, hey, you know, after they're close to death, you know, it takes him how long to get there, and be like, hey, I got these magical balls that can give you your powers back in this world. And then he wastes time doesn't tell them about it at all, doesn't show up earlier to tell them about the whole ball thing. Like,
yeah, so how many animes have you even seen?
I I had to think. Well, I'm kind of going through the timeline of them. So
Yeah, but so
finally, Bleach hit. Finally, I gave Bleach a shot.
yeah, but so you saw
I saw Code Geass.
Your first anime was Code Geass.
Code Geass. If you're going first, that's the most blurry timeline ever because there were so many that I was just randomly watching. It's a very blurry timeline. I'd say Attack on Titan's pretty early too. I did watch that. Really strong. I actually watched the whole first season of Attack on Titan. For once in my life, I actually finished, and it was really good. It was really good.
It's an amazing anime.
I liked it a lot. I remember the twists. That it was dark, but I was so captivated by the characters that I was like, okay, they're committing suicide. It's some pretty heavy things here, but I've played so many games with that as a concept. It's not even funny.
I get bored. Like I was watching Solo Leveling is a big one.
What's that?
It's just when the main character is just amazing immediately and stays amazing. Like I just get so bored.
I agree with you.
Like it's cool.
Most of the anime I watched didn't really have that. For the most part, they'd usually struggle a lot.
I've seen
but you've seen way more than I have, so you must have seen
I've seen so many anime.
If a character doesn't struggle, then he's not interesting to me. I'm not going to lie to you. If he can immediately beat everybody in a second.
At least if he's really strong, give him decisions he has to make that are tough.
Yes, maybe save this person or save that person.
Which I haven't seen a lot of Bleach, but Bleach
from
the little bit I saw did well with that.
Bleach for a while was okay, his level's getting gradual and you see his progression. It might be one of the best. I'm not going to lie to you, dude. It might be one of the best shows I've ever seen at certain moments, especially the first season. Going from him knowing, just being this guy who's different from everyone, Ichigo, just he can see ghosts, he can see dead people. Funny meme insert. He sees dead people. Mm-hmm. And he meets Rukia, and they kind of bond, and there's kind of a romance thing, but nobody wants to admit it because the anime writers don't want to be like, oh, we can't do this because she's already dead. It's who cares? Who cares, cool. Dude? It's an anime. Get over it.
I was a big Quincy fan.
I was, and then, so Uryu, that's the thing. He has no arc. I talked about Gray from Fairy Tail. Uryu has no arc.
This is his powers.
For a whole season that was anime exclusive, by the way.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep, it was filler, and I liked it. See, you go from, you start out with Ichigo, like I said, where and I'll make this a bit faster, but you start with Ichigo. He sucks. He's terrible. He becomes a substitute Soul Reaper. He's garbage. He's a substitute. Mm-hmm. This guy didn't stand a chance. He gets destroyed by the first captain that meets him, and then they take Rukia, and they're like, oh, we're gonna execute her. So see you later, buddy. And I was like, okay, that is I was like, well, this escalated quickly. Now he's on the floor bleeding with no form of help at all, and he's going to die. I was like, wow, this turned interesting. And then he has to fight to survive and get his sword back and stay alive, or he'll become a full-on hollow. Mm. Like an actual hollow, not the hollow he has. But then he finally gets the sword. He fights that captain again after training with Urahara, so he trains, and then he beats the guy. He finally beats him. There's a lot of close calls, but he's tough enough to stick out the fight. Then he goes on to probably one of the coolest characters in the show, Kenpachi. He's the next captain he fights. This guy is a tank. He's almost invincible. He said, oh, you can't cut me. He told Ichigo, if you cut me, that'll be considered a victory for you. And it takes him forever to cut this guy. This guy is so he loves fighting too, and he's dead set on murdering Ichigo. The other one's like, oh, maybe we'll capture him. He's like, oh, I'm gonna kill you, and I'm gonna love every second of this fight. If you're powerful, if you're not, then why exist if I can't kill someone and have a tough fight? Barely, he stalemates with this guy. They're both on the floor at the end of it. Like Ichigo drops first, just for dramatic effect, but he barely won that fight, even more so. And then you get to Byakuya. I was sweating bullets when I saw this guy walk out. He comes out. He's like the head of the captains. He has these like flower petal things that turn into sharp razors. And he could just summon them out of nowhere. He doesn't even have to fight. Just pulls the sword out a little bit, and then he cuts them up. So Ichigo runs up to the top of this tower. He's finally there. He's ready to fight Byakuya. Rukia's right there with him. Byakuya pulls his sword out, destroys Ichigo in seconds. Guy's on the floor. Can't do anything. He doesn't even lift a finger, and he's on the floor. And like, oh, is he dead? Like, is it over? And he leaves. For some reason, he can't finish him off. And then finally, he recovers from that and then shows up at the end to save Rukia on top of the hilltop. This, because he learns Bankai, where he can use 2 swords instead of 1. And he's super fast. That's his... He may not be strong, but his speed...
But what you're saying is he builds up
and then the Hollow Mask comes out when he fights Byakuya. And
I will say nothing does...
when we saw the Hollow Mask come on.
I will say nothing... I made fun of you guys watching My Hero so much.
I mean, I hated the art style, dude.
Not because the art style. I actually think the art style's sick.
I was like, dude, what is this? It's
but
too
because
westernized.
That character is such a dweeb.
He is.
But
he is.
You guys were like, guys, you were like watching a couple episodes.
Yeah,
watch a couple episodes. So I watched a couple episodes with you guys, and the first episode, it makes you his biggest fan. You're like, I want him to be the best.
Because he's such an upstanding guy, and he wants to
emotionally,
save people.
It wrecked me. The first episode.
He wants to save people.
He's like crying and like doesn't have any powers, and I'm like, oh my.
Like, I wish you had powers.
Never sucked me in more. There's been very few things that, and I haven't even finished. I watched the first season, I think.
Here's what's funny about My Hero.
I'm just saying that the as far as animes go, sucking you in off the bat.
My Hero. So for me, what's interesting is I was sucked in.
Dude, no anime is doing it, but did it better at that point.
But what's interesting
they make you
about
emotionally attached and rooting for that character. I thought that guy was a loser.
The second episode was interesting. It was an interesting. Usually they kind of pick things up, right? They make things real fast. We get him in the hero school real fast. If this was any other anime, but he barely even qualifies.
Yeah, he's still not good.
And in my mind, I was like, okay, I don't want him to be like phenomenal, right? I don't want him to be amazing. I don't want him to be like 10 out of 10. But I don't want him to be 2 out of 10. That's the difference. It has to be.
But it's cool that he starts out at 2 out of 10.
Incremental scaling. But what I liked about Bleach is no one was really that. None of the good guys were that powerful. So it kind of felt like they had their back against the wall the whole time.
I see.
With My Hero, there's clearly like people who are like so good,
just good powers,
and so bad, and I'm like. It's interesting, but you're trying to sell Izuku as a rival to Bakugo. But Izuku doesn't even know how to use his powers.
At the time.
He breaks his limbs if he does it.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, and that's a really cool concept. The limb breaking is cool.
Yeah.
My only issue wasn't that a little too early to introduce the rival character? Like, you don't just immediately have them.
They do a good job making you hate Bakugo too.
Bakugo.
One thing I was mad about him though is how Matt was saying is he doesn't improve character wise.
No, dude, it takes like we hadn't got it. Keep in mind,
like,
we saw like close to 100
I haven't watched
episodes.
Obviously. Like a lot. I think I watched the first season.
Dude,
I finished the first season.
The second season's really good.
Yeah, and it's not. I didn't stop watching it because
I actually think the third season that we just saw might be the best season. Period.
I just think that But obviously, you hope Bakugo becomes a better person. A little bit.
A little bit. I mean,
because that would be like such a good.
At least I'll give you this with Udio.
Because even more than characters going from weak to strong is characters that are bad, douchey, being good. Later.
Udio was just a pompous windbag. That's the difference. He wasn't like outright evil.
No, I know.
Bakugo is straight up kind of a villain.
Like, he's just like sadistic.
He's sadistic, and it's like...
And I'm okay with that, but like people coming down from being sadistic is such a cool...
They also don't explain why he's sadistic. That's the problem. They're like, oh, he's jealous of Izuku. Why is he jealous? Yeah, why is he jealous of Izuku?
Just stay in your own lane, dude.
Yeah,
You're
dude,
powerful,
why are you jealous of Izuku? You have grenade hands. You can blow people up. So, like, he confuses me. My problem with Bakugo, and that's why the second movie was so unearned.
Well, that's why I don't know a lot about it, so I can't talk too much, but I'm just hoping at some point, and maybe he does.
No. Not from season 3. Not
from what you saw.
Yeah,
we just don't know.
Yeah, I heard later it gets better, but keep in mind, John, that's 100-some episodes. See, when I plot out a story, you have to get the characters, like, I'm not saying you have to get all the characters to where they need to be at the end of the first season, but move them forward in some way, please. Like, don't just keep them at, like, phase 1, for the entire season. Like, it's like I described with Ichigo. His character also develops as he's doing that. He becomes more confident. He becomes more like strategic. My problem with My Hero is I like the side characters, right? I like them. And this isn't me going into a Red Riot rant, because usually I do that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to be honest.
I'm not even comparing them. I was just trying to say that the first episode...
Oh, this isn't a comparison.
Oh, well, you're saying you like this, but...
I guess what I'm telling you is...
I'm just saying that the beginning of that was... name a better anime at the start than
not
My
many,
Hero episodes.
Not many.
Name any.
But I can't think of anything. But maybe Code Geass. I think Code Geass' first episode.
I haven't seen it.
Oh my gosh, they pull you. If you don't know anything about the anime and you walk in,
I don't like the art that much.
Oh, I hated the art too, dude. We both did.
Not that I can get past that.
My gosh, dude, I walked in and after I saw that first episode, they pulled. I had no idea what this was about, and I was like, they literally pulled the wool over my eyes for this entire anime. This guy looks clueless. Like he's just a normal guy trying to survive. He's not. He's the chess master. Like Lelouch is psychotic. He's psychotic in some ways. He's cruel. He's crazy. He's nuts. He'll make the player. He'll not the player. I love how I'm describing it like a game. He'll make you think, what is this guy thinking? Every 5 seconds, what is his plan? Because every time it looks like he's like losing, he's actually fully in control of the situation.
That's cool.
And he's pulling everyone along. He'll emotionally manipulate situations, people he cares about, to put an end to this war. He will sacrifice anything to make Japan a much safer place from Britannia. Even his relationships, the people he cares about, he'll kill them if it means
like
that.
The Amanda Waller of.
Yeah, and except he's even more brutal, dude. He will kill anybody in his way who gets in the way of the goal of bringing peace, and it's really cool. But I will say, before we end this off, I feel like My Hero, my biggest issue with it is the side characters. Because he has 2 friends. They by the past the couple seasons, they don't interact at all. There's nothing to them. They have no deep relationship. They're just the generic friend characters who are in the background. There's nothing there. Like Rukia and Ichigo have a deep relationship. And they care about each other. Uraraka, the girl, and Izuku obviously have a relationship romantically, but the problem is We don't get to see any of that developing. The problem is My Hero bounces from character to character.
I love that evil girl.
Over and over. You mean the character who's barely in the show?
I know. She's so good, too.
I would have been more interested if I knew why she was the way she was. But this is the problem. They keep bouncing between character after character after character after character.
Yeah,
they never stay
true.
focused. And then Red Riot out of nowhere. It's like, dude,
We're on the Red Riot.
and that's I'm not going to rant on it, but what I'm telling you is the reason why
I don't know anything about
the
him,
reason why I was so upset about it was because I was like, I watched freaking Harry Potter. Who do they develop? Harry, Ron, and Hermione. They develop as characters. I watched this show, the trio. There's no trio at all. It's just a moppy mess of characters that they're just switching between for each episode. Oh, this guy's got an interesting power. Here's his random backstory or random thing. It's like, dude, you need to focus on your main characters. You can't keep switching to some random background guy. You don't need to develop everybody. You only need to develop those 3 characters. That's it. Maybe the guy with the red and white hair. You probably like him too. That's it. Bakugo. 5 characters. Nobody else. Don't develop anyone else. Don't touch them within a 10-foot pole. You have to have a small cast. If your cast is too big, there's going to be too many characters where you're like, why should I care about this guy? I've seen him for 5 seconds and he's got the personality of cardboard. And they tried with Red Riot. They took the opposite message with Red Riot. He was a fun side character because he'd throw like comments in before he was developed. But we didn't need a whole episode dedicated to him. That's what I'm saying. Writers, take a mental note of this. You have to focus on a small set of characters. You cannot make it bigger than 5 people. Or else you're going to be like, why should I care about these people? I don't know anything about them. They're all flat. And that's exactly what happened with My Hero, is they jumped between so many characters in the school. And they should have never done that in the first place. But that was my rant.
That's good, man. That's a good way to close.
You have to be devoted to telling a cohesive story with a couple characters. You cannot jump. And that's one of the reasons why My Hero is rough to watch if you want to know about a side character, because they cannot. If you want a main group, you don't get one. But I
can see that.
Anyway.
All right. Well, we
people.
filled up
that
episode.
That was quite the rant there.
God bless.
God bless.
See you next week.
Yep.